Hello again, college football fans. Here we are. The big one, the 13th game of the season for both teams. We got an 11-1 Alabama coming in to play a 12-0 Georgia team. This is round 3 of the Nick versus Kirby series in this one. This is going to be the third time that Alabama has seen Georgia in the SEC championship game, which is kind of surprising when you think about how many years of this championship that we've had. As everybody knows, normally Alabama's opponent in this game has traditionally been Florida over and over and over again. Oddly enough, the only 3 teams Alabama has ever seen in the SEC championship game has been Florida, Georgia, and Missouri. A lot of times against Florida, and this is the third against Georgia, and then the one time against Missouri, 2014 that year, yeah. And that ended as most people would have expected it to. But I've spoken a little bit about this game. I mentioned some things about it in the Week 14 review, the championship week review, and I said that the case for Georgia is pretty obvious, and that's true. The case for Georgia winning this ball game is obvious because they've destroyed everything in their path, except for Clemson. We'll get back to that a little bit later. But the unfortunate thing, and I've ragged on Georgia's schedule all year, and obviously it's no fault of Georgia, and they've done everything they could with the schedule. I mean, they've destroyed all of them, which is, when you look at the records of those teams that they've played, that's exactly what they should have done. But because of that, and Alabama's schedule is not that much stronger than Georgia's. It is stronger, definitely. And I don't think Alabama, neither one of these teams has faced a championship level team until Saturday. Alabama's, Ole Miss is a little bit better than Kentucky, I think, and A&M and Mississippi State, and it's just better than the East that Georgia has to deal with. But that's still, Alabama still has not faced a championship level program until Saturday, but neither has Georgia. But the strange thing, because of Georgia being able to just run through all of their opponents the way they have, is there's probably more questions about Georgia than there are Alabama. I mean, we know what Alabama is. We know that our offensive line is not that great. They're very porous. We know that we're not going to have a lot of success running the ball. We know that our defense is... our defense has been much maligned this season and called an up-and-down defense. But honest to goodness, the only bad game that our defense has had was the one loss to Texas A&M. That's the only bad game that the defense has played all year. A lot of people will point to that Arkansas game. But, Arkansas, I know that Georgia blew them out and shut them out in their own place. But... when you looked at Arkansas's season accomplishments, what they wanted, their goals for the season, going to a bowl game, beating their rival was on there, but also beating Bama was one of the goals that Sam Pittman had set for Arkansas. Beating Georgia was not one of their goals. So, all games are not equal, even when it's the same team. I know Georgia likes to think of themselves as being in the same class as Alabama, but yeah, a few teams circle Georgia every year as their big game, but every team Alabama plays every year circles them 3 or 4 times on the calendar. I mean, that's just the way it is. That's the reality of what we live in. So what I'm saying is, what we don't know about Georgia is really how they'll handle adversity. Now, you can point to the Clemson game. That was a game where they did handle adversity. But a couple of things about that are, first of all, the quarterback that will be playing Saturday, presumably, is not the quarterback that played in that game. So, Stetson Bennett has looked great this year. He's looked very good. But he hasn't had to sweat at all. He hasn't had to sweat a drop this season. I mean, I don't think they've played. If they have played without the lead, I think Kentucky might have managed to get a field goal lead on them early. But, I mean, that's not playing behind. Come on, let's face it. He hasn't had to play a snap behind. His offensive line is good and has kept him very, very clean this year. So we don't know how Stetson Bennett will react if he's having to run for his life. Now, going into this game, everybody knows how great Georgia's defense is. Alabama's going into this game expecting for Bryce Young to be running for his life. We're going into this game expecting to not be able to run the ball. I don't think Georgia has those expectations. I mean, the coaching staff probably does, and the older and more discerning fans that pay close attention probably are expecting their offense to struggle. But Alabama's defense is it's number 7 in the country. It's not like it's chopped liver. Their run defense is number 4 behind Georgia, which is number 3. So I'm not expecting Georgia to be able to run the ball very well. I'm not expecting Georgia's offense to be able to move the ball as well as they have all season. And I think that that's a big question for them. How is Stetson Bennett going to handle that? How is the team going to handle that? Not being able to just roll through their competition the way that they have. Now, I could be wrong. And the thing about it is, I've been saying all year, defense doesn't win championships anymore. That's been my theme about the narrative of where we are in college football in the current day right now. But if Alabama's defense doesn't play well, we're toast. There's no point in even talking about it. If our defense doesn't play well, it could be an ugly blowout for Georgia. That is definitely the reality of what we're looking at in this game. That being said, I don't think that our defense won't be the one to win the ball game for us. If we're going to win this ball game, everybody knows who it's going to be. It's going to be Bryce Young. It's all on his shoulders. I feel like going into this game, our game plan should be don't rely on the run. Don't think that the run is going to be there. If it's there a little bit, great, but don't expect it to be there at all. I figure we'll be stonewalled. Clemson got 2 yards against Georgia, and that's kind of the litmus test that I'm going by when I feel like Clemson's probably the closest thing to Alabama that Georgia has seen all year, even though they don't have a Bryce Young on the other side, and DJ Uiagalelei did not do very well against Georgia's defense at all. Like every other quarterback they've played this year. And, like I said, I expect Bryce Young to be running for his life, but he's ran for his life most of the year and still manages to have either pretty good or great games on top of it. So, we know how Bryce Young can react under pressure, under the worst of pressure. I mean, what he did in Jordan-Hare Stadium last week was phenomenal. It's the best thing I've ever seen any quarterback do at Alabama ever. So we know that he can be held on a cross the entire game and still manage to pull a victory out. We don't know that. We just don't know that about Georgia. Now, maybe they won't have to face any adversity in this game. Maybe it'll be another blowout for them. Our defense comes in and has a down game, gives up a lot of long passes and that sort of thing, and they just run away with it, and it's a moot point. But I think that any mature college football fan that pays attention to these games season in and season out knows that Georgia's probably going to have to face some adversity in this game, and we just really don't know how they're going to handle it. I mean, they weren't able to score an offensive touchdown against Clemson. They had to pull that one out with a pick six. Now, do you think that that's going to be good enough against Alabama? I mean, even if Alabama struggles the entire game, do you think they're going to be able to hold Bryce Young and Alabama's offense to a field goal for the entire game? Maybe, but I don't think so. And my name is Bammer Randy, and if you thought that I was going to pick Georgia to win this game, you're crazy. And Georgia, that's another thing about Georgia this whole season. It's like their fan base seems to be surprised that I'm not afraid of them. Alabama has no reason to be afraid of you. You got to give us a reason to be afraid. You have a chance. You've got your chance this week. You've got your chance to shut everybody up. You've got your chance to exercise 40 years worth of demons. It's all there for you. It's, you're the better team. You have had the better season. Even if you lose this game, there's no pressure on you at all. in this game Saturday. Even if you lose, you're still in the playoffs. But you're going to have to get over that crimson hump, I think. Because if you don't, you're going to have to see him again in the playoffs, and that's the last thing. I know that's the last thing Kirby wants. But I see the game going. I see Alabama coming out roaring defensively, and I think we'll win the toss. I think we'll defer. Georgia will get the ball first. It'll be a quick, nasty 3-and-out, and you're going to lose yards. And we're going to get good field position after the punt, and we're going to get a quick strike touchdown to start off the game. 7-0 Alabama. On the second possession of Georgia, we're going to get a pick six and make it 14-0 to start off. Before you even open your eyes, it's going to be 14-0. And it's going to stay that way for a long time until the very end of the half. You're going to manage to muster, Georgia will manage to muster a field goal at the end of the first half, and it's going to be 14-3 Bama at half. Alabama gets the ball to start the second half. They're going to get another score. This is going to be a long, grueling drive, but they're going to get a touchdown out of it. It's going to be 21-3. Then Georgia will come back and get another grueling drive of their own and get 7 points to make it 21-10. And then it's going to stay that way for a while until about midway through the fourth quarter, and then Alabama is going to score their final touchdown to make it 28-10. And I do believe that Georgia will score another touchdown towards the end of the ball game, but it won't be enough. And your final score in the SEC championship will be Alabama 28, Georgia 17. In a upset. This is the first time we get to be underdogs in 6 years. I love it. It sets up so perfectly for Alabama because, like I said in the last video, there's going to be no rat poison for Nick Saban to have to worry about. That's all going to have to be dealt with on the other side. And the story of this game is going to be Alabama's defense versus Georgia's offense. I think everybody pretty well knows what's going to happen on the other side. Bryce Young will do some Bryce Young things, but for the most part, Georgia will have him running for his life. But the key to this game is Alabama's defense versus Georgia's offense, and I don't think Georgia's ready for what they're going to see. And I think that Kirby is going to – we will look back at the end of this season and see that Kirby has made the same mistake that he's made before. He should have figured out a way to get JT Daniels back into the rotation and have enough experience and enough reps going into this game, because I don't think he's going to be able to just throw him in there. I know he's seen Alabama do that a couple of times, but I don't think JT Daniels is that kind of quarterback. Now, he could have been if he had had enough time going into this game, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And 28-17, Alabama over Georgia. And I cannot wait to see how this unfolds. And I cannot wait to see the reactions of everybody when it's all over with. Once again, I want to thank everybody for going on the journey of the 2021 football season with me. It's not over yet. We've still got quite a bit of business to take care of. And we're going to be watching all those other games. It's going to be a lot of fun this weekend. It always is. And I will definitely be coming as soon as I can with a reaction and a review video about what happened all over the country. And it's going to be great. Thanks for watching.